Producers ever look for new sounds or material? It seems that most posts on Taxi are just looking for new copies of the examples. Can writers be successful writing and sending in fresh stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, it is an endless struggle. And
I'm dying to hear your answer on this.
Endless pursuit to find something fresh and new. Always want new stuff and fresh ideas. And you know who comes up with the new stuff and the fresh ideas? These young kids, you know. They have different ways of figuring it out. They have a fresh approach. And you know what? I am not a guy that lives in the past. Like, I love the music of today. I love what I'm hearing, and I love it when I hear something fresh and new. I am not trying to go back to 1984, Van Halen, or 1965. You know, I think the best songs are on around the bend. I think they're coming, and I think every year I hear something that's like fresh and interesting and new. And last year, one of them was a massive smash, Havana. You know, I heard that song and I thought, oh my Lord God, how'd they get away with this one, man? This is so interesting and cool.
What's the song that's the kid song it's had like a trillion plays or a billion? Baby Shark. Yeah, Bree's going, oh God. Okay, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but there's a caveat, which is
it has to fit in a framework.
It has to be
for pop, or well, yeah.
Because we get Taxi members that say, "You guys never forward anything outside the box." Well, there's good outside of the box, and there's less than good outside the box. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's great different. It's got to be viable so that people want to hear it a second time, or a third time, or 100 times.
It still has to have all of the meat and bones. You know, it has to be a great melody. You know, when something different comes out, you know, what immediately comes to mind is, you know, when I was about 3, Nirvana came out. Right? So when Nirvana came out, you know, all the hair...
I'm doing the math, yeah.
Right, okay. So the Nirvana came out, there was like all of a sudden all the hair bands that wore the spandex and the glam stuff, like that was like all of a sudden they couldn't like sell a ticket.
Yeah.
Right. So and that came
Thank
on
God.
like it went like but it was crazy, and I still remember people living in the past like not hearing that those songs were really good, like, and the way they did it was fresh and new and cool, right? And when the Beatles came out, people not, you know, the kids got it, but the review of the Beatles, if you can dig it up, was like, yeah, some nice harmonies, but this kind of music may be on the way out, or something like that. It was a bizarre thing to read, like in hindsight. You know, you can't predict the future, but if it's done well, the Beatles did it, the Stones, and everyone had their own little, I think, approach and their own little way of contributing something new. And when we get that, you know, a lot people tend to get excited about it, you know. I think Taylor Swift came out with some really groundbreaking stuff a few years ago, and I feel like that merge of country and pop was really, and it's changed music quite a bit. But I can go on and on and on. I can list, you know, Bruno Mars.
They all have one thing in common: structure.
Structure, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I want the people watching the show to understand is the caveat is that just because you're doing something really outside doesn't mean that it's digestible by the public. So what do these groundbreaking acts all have in common is their stuff all has basically a pop song structure to it.
It's well written.
Yeah.
It's produced well. It's mixed well. And
it's got a big hook. It's got a lyric that resonates.
I was going to say it resonates with the listener. It's got a vibe. Like at the end of the day, if you listen to Louie Louie by the Kingsmen, right? We all know that record. I think it cost $50 to record it, probably in the mid '60s, and it's distorted and there's all you can't understand his words, and it's the most beautiful thing, you know. And then if you listen to Tequila, right, the Champs, and that song, if you listen to that record, sure, you can be snobby about it and say, oh, they didn't do this right, or this note's flat. Like, we can get into that stuff and like, yeah. And if you fixed all that, you'd have killed the record.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just they're timeless classics. A lot of that Motown stuff, if you listen to the harmonies, they're out of tune. Things are out of tune. They let it go because it felt good, you know. It's not that they didn't hear it. I mean, these guys, you know, certainly knew what they were doing. But on whole, you know, they took the vibe.